Welcome to Dirt, Sweat, and Gears, where we don't take shortcuts, we take the scenic route. We left off my last video making substantial progress in one of the bedrooms of this house. That means 25% of the square footage of this house is done. That's not 25% of the work, it's more like 5% of the work. So we've been moving on into the kitchen. I had to remove all of the wallpaper glue using sandpaper, and I gotta tell you, that was tough. But that's all done, and we're ready to move forward into the living room. So let's go take a look. Before we get started, let's check in with our whiteboard. Windows, they're in. That's done. We have sanded the walls in the kitchen. That's done. Demo electrical box, have not done that. 18-inch deep cabinet, have not. Turn off the water, that is done. Bathroom, I purchased the toilet, have not demoed it, have not cleaned and covered the tub. Bedroom, doors and windows. I think this one has a door, so that's referring to this bedroom, not done. Stucco wire, lath paper, drywall. I have drywall. I have lath paper. I do not have stucco wire. Doors, doorknobs and deadbolts, have not ordered those. Tim, he's on vacation. Electrician's coming over today. Plumber, I need to get the estimate from Mario. He hasn't gotten back to me with an estimate just yet. I've not purchased those, but we'll see when the electrician gets here what he has to say. He may just want to put those in if he can get them cheaper. Appliances, stack washer and dryer, sell Jill's stuff, laundry room, shelves, Steve, money. I might want to have my friend Steve do some built-ins in the laundry room. I think that might be really cool. It all just depends on the budget that I have at the time that I'm ready to do it. So once I get some more information about the plumber, the electrical, and I know Tim's going to cost me some money, but I really can't avoid that just because he's going to be doing so much work that I can't do. Let's get these two items out of the way, and then I'll see what kind of budget I have for this guy. Maybe I can work something out with him because he does owe me money. Let's start in the kitchen. I cannot really put into words just how relieved I am to finally have these walls sanded down and done. I've also patched the disgusting holes in the ceiling. So you can see here I'm not very good at patching, but a couple more rounds of this and it'll be just fine. There's one here and one over here. This one actually did slightly better, even though it's much bigger. I have a lot more to float. Today I'm going to pull out these fixtures. I do have an electrician coming over later today. So we're going to learn a lot more about the electrical situation in this house pretty soon and how much it's going to cost me. I'm also going to sand down this wall here, and I'm pretty sure I don't have any wallpaper under this. But I'm going to take a look, and if I need to rip it out, I will. So once I have this all done, I'm going to spray the walls with texture. And then I'm going to lay at least one coat of primer, maybe two, just depending on how it cooperates. Because I don't think I need to paint until after I get the cabinets in, but at the same time, I do want it to look like it's ready, and I want to feel like I'm making progress on this thing. Let's go take a look at this bedroom real quick. I pulled up the paper that I had laid down to protect the floor. And look at this. I haven't even cleaned it, and it looks amazing. I cannot wait to see what this is going to look like once I have it all cleaned up. This is mostly just dust from sanding and painting and old chips. There's very little dried paint actually stuck to the floor in here. The closet's a different story. There's a lot of paint on the floor in the closet. In fact, I may have to redo it. I may not, though. It's just a closet. It doesn't really bother me. I left the paper down because I've still got some work going on. Obviously, a little bit of work going on in the bathroom. Out here in the kitchen, I went through 35 sanding discs to get the wall all sanded down. And then I laid a layer of texture so you get that nice little texture, and primered it. And there's a big bug on the wall because it's bug season. He's really enjoying this resurfacing. So I really like how this is moving along. I also started to patch the disgusting holes in the ceiling and remove the light fixtures. This is really fortunate for me because there's not a box here. There's nothing to relocate. We just have to add a box in line with about the center line of the room here for my 2 schoolhouse lights, and then he could just pull this wire up, run that over to the new box, and I just patch that hole. These boxes are just fine. However, the electrical above them is not. Especially over here, he basically, instead of using a junction box, he used the box as a junction box. So we've got to fix that. I did have the electrician come over, and he took a good look at the house, and he said it's mostly little things, nothing too serious, but it's a whole bunch of little things. So he's going to charge me by materials and hourly in order to keep costs down, because it's really hard to estimate when you have a bunch of small things. We're going to remove that 220 and use that circuit for the mini split, which is probably going to be run on the other side of the house. We're going to have a 2-gang receptacle here so that we can have double receptacles, and also obviously we need a GFI. We're also going to do the same thing there. We're going to have a receptacle and all of the switches we need right there. Probably going to remove that switch. It's also way too low. This outlet needs to move to be closer to the stove, and we're going to add a counter outlet, probably a 2-gang receptacle up there. Overall though, this kitchen looks much less sad and much more like it has potential to be something. Since I can't really do much in this kitchen until the electrician makes his way through, I'm actually going to move on into the living room. First things first, I have to clean this up. I got to move all of this stuff out to other rooms so that I'm not tripping over things and kicking stuff and breaking my neck. So if I really wanted to, I am going to have the time to do barn doors for either or both of these doorways. And I think that might be really beneficial if I'm going to do a mini split in this room only. That way you can kind of direct where the airflow is in the house. If you're not using the kitchen, you close that off. If you're not in these rooms, you can close this off. I don't know yet, but it's a really interesting proposition. You could, in theory, just put a fan here and direct it into this bedroom, or put a fan here, direct it into that bedroom, and that will help move the air around the house without a problem. I also think it might be a really nice touch and make this house just feel really cool. My only concern with doing one in this doorway here is that we've got this outlet there, and it pretty much makes it, well, not entirely unusable, but mostly unusable. It's also just a very weird spot for an outlet, just in general. I don't know. I'm not going to remove it, but I may just accept that it's useless. Well, first of all, let me apologize for not showing you more of my process. The way I see it, I'm remodeling a house and sharing it on YouTube. I'm not a YouTuber who is remodeling a house. So that means there's a huge difference between my approach in what I do, how I film it, and how I share it with you guys. And really it all revolves around getting stuff done. And once I got started pulling out this wall heater, I could not stop. I did not want to give up my momentum. I had music blasting from the phone that I'm using to record this, and I just had to keep going. The other reason is because I am kind of really bad at drywall. Like, it's embarrassing. So because this is a very old house, these walls are like little bit extra thick and brittle. They're like have like a layer of plaster, and so when you drive a screw through, it breaks and creates cracks, and it joins cracks. You can actually see a little bit of a crack right here. It's because I put a screw in here, and it just went bloop. Yeah, I'm really bad at it, and it's really tough. I also missed a hole, son of a bitch. You know, I feel like no matter how many times I go around the entire room with a trowel and mud, I always miss stuff. I just did that over here too. So I'll patch that little hole. So here is the patched hole for the wall heater. I do have to take another couple of passes at it. It's not at all even, but these are really huge patches. So the fact that they actually came out fairly smooth on the first go is actually kind of cool. I left that little hole down there. I have the patch for it ready to go, but I want my plumber to cap off that gas line and turn it into the wall. Over here on the other side, you can see I still have the hole from the vent that was coming into the hallway. That's another reason why I don't like showing my process, because I'm just like embarrassingly bad at this. I should have used 2x2s. I didn't have any, so I used 1x2s instead of going to the hardware store like a sane person. And really just made life a lot harder for myself. I also used the gold screws instead of drywall screws, and that probably made things a little bit more difficult. Like I said, I'm not that good at this, but over here, this actually used to be the mailbox. This was patched when I bought the house. It was patched really horribly, so I'm trying to kind of even it out and spread out the unevenness. And then over here below the window, we see some oxidation. I'm sure I'm going to have a lot of fun with that later on. With the electrical, I've pulled out all of the outlets throughout the house that have cloth wire. You see this here had cloth wire on one side. I'm going to leave that up to my electrician to decide whether that should stay or go. But I wanted to do the work of identifying and pulling them out of the wall for him. Obviously, I am going to replace all of these outlets anyway, but you know, having them all pulled out of the wall actually kind of gets in the way of doing other things. So I elected to leave the ones that were Romex inside the wall. But yeah, this is something I have to take out. I don't know why there's hooks on the door, but I'm going to take those out, fill the holes, and repaint the door. I also have to do new doorknobs. I want to do like a nice fancy, you know, more regal style doorknob on the bottom and deadbolt on the top. Deadbolt, honestly, I'm probably going to leave this thing because this is going to leave such a terrible mess of a hole. I don't know. I suppose I could probably take this out and then insert some of the trim that I've taken out from the other room. I might do that. If I can, I will. And of course, the locks have to be replaced. It's a little update here. I went through the room and texturized the wall. I tried to get a random texture, but you know, that's really hard to make it not look weird and blotchy when you're doing this kind of work, but I think it'll be just fine once I knock it down with the sanding block just a little bit and then throw some primer on it. And then I'm just kind of accepted that there's going to be a little bump here. It doesn't really bother me that much. At the end of the day, I've said this many times, this is an 80-year-old house. It's not going to be perfect. And in fact, some of these imperfections give it character. If you remember over here, I had a little bit of oxidation bleeding through the joint compound. When I was at the hardware store picking up wall texture, I got sealing spray. Well, it's a sealing spray. It's both sealing and for sealing up this exact type of issue right here. So I sprayed that over here. I also sprayed it in the closet that I finished up in my last video. And yet another hole. Jesus, I swear, you could go through a house 200 times and still miss little holes here and there. Not a big deal. Anyway, I did not get any texture on this wall because this is still drying, and I want to knock it down with a sanding block and make sure that it's nice and smooth. I know I kind of crapped on my own drywall experience, but this did not turn out to be a bad patch job at all. I got this pretty close with minimal float. I did have to do a little bit of float on the smaller patch here, but it's a small patch, so it was actually quite easy to float out. This is going to take some time to dry, which unfortunately does kind of block me from being able to do more to this room. I suppose I could lay paint on the ceiling. Another problem I've been having is that there's these damn dust bunnies all over the room, and I go to paint and it's like, oh crap, I gotta sweep them off. And so I guess I need to spend a good 15-20 minutes just sweeping the ceiling, because you can see it's everywhere. And once I get that knocked down, I think I might start painting the ceiling. Here at the water heater, I smelled gas, so I went ahead and just replaced my gas line. There was also a pile of leaves inside the heater closet, and I realized it's because there's a little gap at the bottom of the shelter here. So this is something that I have to go seal up. And the leaves were getting in because I was blowing leaves, and they would just go straight under here. There's actually quite a substantial gap. I may cut some wood or something, or lay. I could even lay a block. I might have enough room, concrete block along the side of it. But I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to fix it at this particular moment. But it is something that is going to be on the list, especially when I come back outside and do things like close up this hole here. Once the electrician moves this stuff into a small junction box, these may have been like panels, actual panels at one time, but now they're literally just junction boxes. So he's going to just replace them both with a single box that's going to be like right here. And then I can cut out this box from my kitchen and seal it up on this side with paper wire and stucco. Well, this is what getting it done looks like. I am really happy with this. The patch job came out really nice. There is a couple of minor touch-ups that I need to do, but this is primer anyway, and that's exactly what primer's stage is for. So I'll be able to correct that. I'll just have to touch it with the sander for a little bit, and then retexture, and then reprime and reevaluate. I've got a little bit up here. Honestly, like, some of these is really splitting hairs. I do want to take care of that because the tape is going to show through paint. So I'll need to just hit that with just a little bit of joint compound, spread that out a little bit, and then fix it up. So a little bit of touch up, but that's kind of, I'm not surprised at all. Overall, I accomplished my objective today, which was to prepare this for paint, get the entire room primered out. You can see I missed a small spot in the primer there. I may hit that with the sealing spray, the sealing spray. And there's another, speaking of the sealing spray, there was another spot over here of oxidation. I hit that with it, and it cleared it right up. So this is actually kind of cool stuff. I primed the entire bookshelf, as well as all of the trim and the baseboards, ceiling, and the coves. The coves are actually kind of a pain in the ass if you try to get in the corner or anywhere near the corner with the roller. So I think when I go to paint, I'm going to use the mini roller for just the cove, and then I'll go with the big roller across the big part of the ceiling. Over here in the windows, I did not do any priming on the window trim. And that was mainly because I didn't take these blinds down. And I really kind of don't want to take these blinds down until it's time to do the windows. I just don't want people looking into my house. So this looks straight out to the street, which means the street can see straight in. That was kind of tough to say. Once I get the windows in, I can do all the work. This really isn't a big deal in the grand scheme of things. I am going to do this window once the wood filler is dried up, which I guess technically I could do it now, but I'm tired and it's time to go watch Star Trek. My plumber, Mario, and his crew from New Design Plumbing just finished up at my house, and let's take a look at what they've done. Before we go into the house, we had to get a new valve on the front of the house to shut off the entire house. So you can see here, there's a little bit, okay, there we go. And it'll drain out as the house depressurizes, but when I open this up, now we have water. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and shut that off, just in case I have any oopsies on the inside later on. Capped off the gas line there, so now I can close up that hole and finish up this wall. So fantastic. Capped off that gas line so I can finish off that hole. And we refactored the sink. We've got the traditional modern water feeds, and you can see my absolutely awful job at papering that patch. That was, I think, my first significant patch job. I certainly can do better than that now. Anyway, so I can close up this hole no problem. I just have to, measure where to make my holes in the drywall and then stick it right back on. And over here, we've got the laundry. We are ready for a stacked washer and dryer. Everything is ready to go and could not be happier about this. I cannot wait to close up this hole. Moving on into the bathroom. We've got the pipes moved into the wall. Thank God they're out of the floor. And we've got the shower all set up. It's nice and tall shower head with a single valve right in the middle. And this is going to be the tub spout. So really, I think today and the next couple of days' efforts are going to be closing up holes. Starting with this hole here, because once I close this, I can finish painting this room, and I can move in the cabinets in here so I can start kind of preparing them to put into the kitchen. Got the walls painted, and it is starting to really shape up to be a nice room. Once the wall is completely dry, I'm going to need to pull up the tape along all of the trim, put it on the wall so that I can paint the trim along the bottom and along the windowsills and the door trim. But otherwise, this came out really nice. You notice my patch came out pretty good. It's definitely not perfect, but if you compare it to the rest of the house, really, who cares? 80-year-old house, and you really only notice it when you're looking directly at it from very specific lighting. So it doesn't bother me, not one bit. It does seem that I missed a couple of spots while I was painting. It's kind of lame, but this happened to be in the bedroom too. No matter how hard I tried, I still missed a few spots. So I am going to have to do a thin coat over this entire wall one more time. Um, I was trying to not have this problem, but I guess there's kind of no avoiding it because, it's just bound to happen here. Yeah, so I have to do a thin coat over the entire wall. And also over here, I see that my electrician started getting to work untangling the mess of electrical that came before him. This, I guess, now is just a junction box. It used to be some kind of panel. There was a doorbell and a light switch for the doorbell, which was kind of amazing. So he's working on that now. You see he's got the panel taken apart. He's already started to refactor these weird boxes that were in here being used as a junction box. And he's using a real junction box. So this is great. I'll be able to close up, well, at least most of the hole. But electrical is moving right along. We have got a lot of work ahead of us, but once the electrical is done, I can start really digging into this kitchen.